Hello guys, welcome to Rex Arthur TV, this LGBTQ channel, LGBTQ issues, perspective, holistic approach. I'm going to give of level Fikir outfit rather than the LGBTQ one, and this is based on what has happened with Kavanaugh. I didn't want to really talk about him until the eventuality that has happened. Either he would lose the nomination or be nominated as a Supreme Court justice. And so now that it has happened, it has been confirmed that he is going to be a Supreme Court justice. It's a very important time. What I'm seeing in American media is aftershocks, like an earthquake. So the voting was an earthquake, and now we are having the aftershocks of the earthquake. And it was a very, very big earthquake. It affects the whole world. I know it's in America, and somebody will say, why are you so bothered with American things? I mean, there's a friend of mine on Facebook who told me that I'm so focused on American things. And I said, no, I'm a human first. I'm not my nationality, I am a human first. And what does that mean? A human has a right to know everything in every part of the world where there are humans. Yes. And so everybody has that time to study all nations. But if you can, please do. Yeah, at least have some common knowledge about everywhere. You're a president and then someone asks you, do you know where Lithuania is? And you say it is in Africa. My goodness, and you're a president. You will be, people will laugh at you. So I had to follow this thing, and and personally, because let me speak for myself, not for the world, I really study America life, because America is the champion of democracy, which is the system that is used all over the world except in China. And China, is not democratic. And we'll talk about that change of flow in the world. But we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We just want to go through. This is Rex Arthur's, and apart from being Love of Fikir, it is also Rex Arthur's Google searches. So we want to search and see what Google is saying about Kavanaugh. And so we have typed in Kavanaugh analysis, and this is what is happening. People are saying, ABC News is saying, Kavanaugh confirmation marks triumph of tribalism. Yeah, so I think what they're trying to show us here is they're basically saying that I don't want to insinuate more much. I just want to touch. And I think it's that Kavanaugh belongs to the male tribe, maybe the white male tribe. So that's what they're trying to say. I think it's an analysis, so it's not the position of the channel. Then Kavanaugh's battle only magnified the nation's divisions and may leave, I agree with that, it can leave lasting scars because America is divided, This is the first been issues about Supreme Court justices, but this one has been a grueling battle where the nominee even cries, and it was very emotional and very personal, and this is why we're doing this video. We're doing this video to discuss a very important thing: morality and sex and Kavanaugh. Why? Because this whole Kavanaugh debacle made me ask myself about humanity. Where do we go wrong in the fact that we expect humans to be perfect, 100% perfect, and they make us punish them severely? And this applies to both Democrats, and that's what I'm trying to really get over in my mind. Of course, another thing about morality, we need to know which age we live in. We live in the postmodern age. Now, the postmodern age is the age of relativity. Because relativity means, what one person calls good, another person calls bad. And it's like the sun. When you read ancient texts, they all believed the sun was white. But thanks to space exploration, ESA and NASA, they went close to the sun, and guess what the color of the sun is? It's red-orange. It's even very dark red sometimes. And the core, we don't know the color of the core, but it could be white light, we don't know. But basically, all of the photons put together and remember, the sun is a star. People didn't know the sun is a star. Everybody, because it was the closest star to the system, people gave it a different name. If they knew it was a star, they wouldn't have called, there would be no solar system, or we don't say the sun. But because it's the closest star to Earth, we called it the sun. And ancient people didn't know it was a star. They just knew it was the sun. But because of science, we now know it's just a star, but a closest star to us. And they're even bigger stars in the cosmos, but they're very far from us. Now, what am I trying to say? Relativity. So some people will say the sun is white. And the reason why they say it is because from the angle they see it, it looks white. But NASA and ESA will tell you, no, the sun is red and orange. And they will give you evidence, pictures that we have done in space exploration. Now, some people will say we don't believe NASA because how sure? I was not in the NASA airship that went to collect the data, so I can't believe. But other people will say, no, I believe. And this is another thing I was also struggling with the Kavanaugh issue. People were saying we believe survivors, and then others were saying we believe Kavanaugh. And I was like, I didn't like the word believe. Because legally speaking, this is a very dicey topic. Legally speaking, you are not supposed to believe. You're supposed to listen to testimonies. And then the testimonies are backed with evidence. Nobody is saying that what happened between Kavanaugh and Ford didn't happen. We do not even know. In fact, the longer a case is in time, the harder for somebody to deal with it, to solve. A judge, that's why there's a statute of limitations. The reason why a statute of limitations is there is not to let people commit crimes, but it is to make people understand that when a case that has happened 70 years ago is resurfaced, to piece the pieces back together is very hard, you see. And to be fair to both sides, because justice is about fairness for both sides. Yes, both the accused and the victim, but more so the victim. The victim carries because without the victim, there will be no case. So you give space to the victim, but you also give the accused some space, fairness. And that's how it is. So for Dr. Ford, she had to bring a lot of evidence out. And you're going to see through these Google searches, people were making comments. And some people were even saying, was Ford lying? And I don't want to say anything. Sexual assault, I really don't want to talk about it. Because as far as I know, both of you were in the room. And if there were witnesses, they were witnesses. And those are the people who should tell us. I cannot even stand with either Kavanaugh or Ford. I will listen to both of them. And then if the evidence is heavy, I will tell Kavanaugh that we find you guilty. That's why the Democrats were wise to say maybe we do an investigation to find out what happened, to piece the pieces together and see if it was real. Because this could not be done by a Senate committee. Can you imagine Republicans going against the nominee of their president? It was suicide. They wouldn't. So it was already a divided court. So the best was to go to a neutral body, and then meanwhile the Democrats are so happy a scandal has come up against a Republican nominee. Yeah, so it was a divided court. That whole hearing shouldn't have happened, in my view. They should have just said, if there's a scandal, Kavanaugh should be subjected to investigations. And people need to understand, of course, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about morality and sex and all of this. And we'll in question form. Let's just go through the other titles. They are going to give us ideas of what we're going to discuss. You see, Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court will be leaning error. You see, it's a very so I'm saying the aftershocks of what has happened are so heavy. People are some mourning, but I wouldn't mourn, because anything can happen in the Supreme Court. Yes, please expect the unexpected. Those are one of the principles you should never lose in life. Anything to the who knew Justice Kennedy was going to resign? He resigned. And this is why Kavanaugh has come up. Yes. Yes, so that's life. Life, you always have to expect the unexpected. And that's why we are now doing outcomes, prepare. Have as many outcomes. The more outcomes you have in life, the more less shocked you are. So, and did Avenatti help doom case against Kavanaugh? Now, Brett Kavanaugh's testimony, was it misleading? Was it not? The battle to put Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court leaves a country divided. Yes, it's now divided. Kavanaugh fight sharpens the stake for midterms. Yes, I like this from the Washington AP. Do you know the Democrats can even be strengthened by what has happened? Or the Republicans can be strengthened? You see, we are coming to a world of uncertainty. This is what Obama even said when he came when he was in South Africa. He's very scared of where the world is going. It's uncertain. But I quipped to him in my silence. Of course, I didn't see him personally, but in my silence, I quipped to him that no, we are not in an uncertain world. The fact is, the world is in a certain position. What position? As position of war. Cold war, surgical war, moral war, culture. That is where the world is in. It's not an uncertain time. It's a certain time of division and a certain time of a certain time of chaos. It's anarchy. And how do you solve it? Well, in the end, it may not be solved because it may need people to leave each other. People need to understand how America came to being. America came to being because of the divisions in England. What was happening in England? King James was the king and the monarch at that time, and then also King Charles. Then there was a lot of war in England that time. Oliver Cromwell, political division, not even physical war. And people didn't agree with King James and all of these things. And it was also religious. There was a new religion that pushed out of the Anglican Church, the Puritans and the Pilgrims. They were very Protestant in their stance, because remember, the Anglican Church is not a Protestant church. It's just a church that left Rome early. And so the Protestantism, when it's entered England, it created a faction in the Anglican Church, and they were fighting the Anglican Church. And when they noticed that they can't live together, because they were always fighting, even when Oliver Cromwell was ruling, it was chaotic. Watch the movie and you will see the people left. There was war in the parliament. And so what happened is the Puritans and Pilgrims left England for America. So what does this mean in this current situation of Kavanaugh's issue? That if the right and the left continue fighting each other, one of them is going to leave America. Yes, one of them will. You know, bipolar is called a disorder for one reason. I think it is that humans should be unipolar. So humans should not be bipolar. That is what psychologists and psychiatrists are saying. Because if bipolar is natural, then don't stop it. Yeah, it will be like that forever. But if humanity, a sane person, is a unipolar person, unipolarity, then this means that in America, one side is going to win, either the right or the left. Now, there are two things that can happen. Number one, you can destroy the whole system called the right and the left completely and have a new system of non-partisan government where the government has no party. The representatives have no party. That's the old Greek democracy. And we're going to do another video about ancient democracy. There were no political parties. It could be that political parties have destroyed us, so that now when we go to the legislative houses, we go as individuals. And ideas are the ones that win votes, not political parties. So that's what may be happening in America. In America, that's what I'm saying. It's not uncertain. It's certain. There's going to be a war, and then something's going to happen. One side will win, or one side will be swallowed by the other, or everything will disappear. The right and the left, the American system will just change because of the too much war, and there'll be something new there. Okay, so now we said we're going to divide this video into sex morality because we don't have much time. Confirmation marks, okay, tribalism, and I've said it's going to affect the midterms. Now, how we're going to do it is this way. We're going to pick Kavanaugh, and then we want to look at articles, Kavanaugh and morality. And then we want to see the top Google searches. Moral dry rot, the only Supreme Court justice who divided the Senate more than Kavanaugh. So there's a judge who divided the Senate one day. Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation reveals the moral rot that allows America to ignore so many assault survivors. Let's stick to that one. Yeah, so according to NBC, there is moral rot that is allowing America to ignore assault survivors. So I'm telling you, I can even write a book about what has happened. It's beautiful, it's dramatic, yet sad. It's a tragedy. Dr. Ford, for those of you who did literature, you can have words for this story, this saga in America. Dr. Ford is a symbol of assault survivors, you know, and she's the embodiment of what a survivor from assault goes through. Now, and then Kavanaugh is the embodiment of the accused in a sexual assault case. So, the moral rot, according to NBC, is where people ignore assault survivors. Now, as I've told you, we're in the postmodern age, so that means relativity. Some people will even say this is not moral rot. But most people, it is moral rot if a survivor of assault is not accorded justice. It's just like somebody who has been murdered and the evidence is compelling. You see, the most important thing we need to keep in our mind, evidence must be compelling to put somebody down. That's how we should do. And I don't want to beat around the bush about this thing. If there is no evidence, even if there was an assault, please give the judges and the audience some space, benefit of doubt. They don't know. And they are very sorry that if it really happened, they are very sorry. But they are limited by, number one, not being there, and number two, not having evidence. But NBC is challenging America to strengthen the way they deal with sexual assault cases. 50 intellectually and morally bankrupt assholes vote to confirm Kavanaugh. So this guy is so mad at the senators who voted for Kavanaugh. Morality and the Kavanaugh confirmation. Yeah, you see, someone is thinking like me here. And we could read, 8 rabbis weigh in on Kavanaugh and morality. Yes, it is a very important thing to discuss. On reinventing morality. Now, that's what I'm talking about. The cases of Kavanaugh and Mark Carrick. Yes, morality is at the point of reinvention. And if you need to understand morality, understand the theology. I know Bill Clinton said it's the economy, stupid. But I'm going to write a book and say it's theology, stupid. The world is living in a globe of diverse theologies. Now, Brett Kavanaugh and the moral ugliness of casual lying. You see, lying is part of morality. Yes. And the question is, as I told you, theology is so diverse. Do you know there are some theologies, there are some religions that allow lying? Yes. They don't attack. Abraham, Jacob lied. In fact, Jacob was called a supplanter. He was a cheater. And actually, in my theological channel, I wanted to do that. Is there a gene for pathological lying? Because Abraham lied, Isaac lied, Jacob lied. And that is a grandfather, father, and the son. They lied. And for some people, it's not bad. Yes. So we need to discuss what is our viewpoint on what Brett Kavanaugh say about moral judgment. You see, it reveals the utter moral corruption of American conservatism. You see, people are seeing the heart of American conservatism. The question we are asking American conservatives, I was pounded the Senate hearing. That committee hearing should not have happened. It was the worst courtroom in the entire history of making, where you. Why? The judges were thoroughly biased. Remember, there was Lindsey Graham, who is standing for the Republicans. And these are judges. All the Republican senators, majority of them, were judges supporting Kavanaugh because he belongs to their party, because he's the nominee of the president who is in their party. And then the Democrat senators, they were for Ford, or they said, listen to Ford. You see? So it was a very bad courtroom. And this is why courtrooms should never be divided like that. And that's why we said in another video, America needs to change its judicial system to allow impartial, independent judges to sit. Judges that are above politics, but they value science and they value jurisprudence. We'll talk about this. Is a very, very important video. And I think I'll call it part 1. So, on second thoughts, we'll just pass through. It's long, but that's all. The collision of Brett Kavanaugh and Americans' moral code. Okay, good. Now, let's finish to... and then we're done. A lot of women are extremely happy. Donald Trump on Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. Look at what Donald said. Why is Trump concerned about being happy? It's because happy. Then it whitewashes Kavanaugh. It makes him look like he's clean. Donald Trump is not looking for excited men. He's looking for excited women to respond to Dr. Ford. So basically, he's just saying, hey, Dr. Ford like Kavanaugh, including women. Brett Kavanaugh confirmed to Supreme Court and widespread outcry over sexual assault allegations. Yeah, it's what this has done. It has shown there's a lot of sexual assault in the world. Brett Kavanaugh allegations of sexual misconduct, the complete list. The case against Kavanaugh isn't just about sex, it's about sexual humiliation. Kavanaugh tried to refute sex misconduct claims before it went public. The parading of sex... yeah, this is a good one. Thank you, Catherine. Sexual assault victims has to end. Catherine Bennett opinion. Thank you. This is the best. I think it's a good opinion. The best opinion I've read. Yes, no more parading sexual assault victims, whether they're aware, because it makes it even worse. Now imagine what's going through Dr. Ford. She should even be given psychological counseling. You know, it's a very sad thing that happened. And she needs to be counseled before she can even think of any dangerous thing to do to herself. So that's the best article I've seen so far dealing on sexuality, and I think I'll read it later on. Donald Trump orders FBI probe of Brett. Oh, I think this is very late. These are quite old, so I think most of these people wrote them early. Let's see. Brett Kavanaugh admits he was too emotional while defending. Okay, we gotta go. So I think we're done. That is part 1 of Kavanaugh, sex and morality. Part 2 will deal with focusing on where the world is going when it comes to morality and sex.